Why is that interesting?
Well, it's interesting to us because there's a 19-year-old now that's a senior advisor to the State Department. So, we're all like, are you kidding us?
You voted for it. You've got
I
what
didn't
you
vote for
wanted.
it. Oh, no. I didn't vote for it. I was watching.
Well, you do. Well, you're complacent to its success.
Yes, that's what George Carlin would say. You're complacent to it because you didn't do anything. So.
Look,
Yeah.
Britain is lost, and Liz
I don't live in Britain. I don't live in Britain, John. Doesn't bother me.
That's okay. Well, Europe is in the same boat too. So, it's funny because when J.D. Vance said his speech, and then horrified people in Europe, and
no, only the elitist. Only the elitist.
Okay.
Only elite political people. If you speak to people on the street, which we've been doing so like on and off all week, talking to different people, everybody says, yeah, we should have woken up,
1950.
A decade ago. Yeah. The interesting thing is that he was totally vindicated because a day or two ago in Scotland, they arrested a woman. She had a sign outside an abortion clinic and said, something about coercion is a crime. If you need to talk, I'm here. And they arrested her.
For what?
Yeah, because there is I don't know if it was in some states in the US, but there is like a cordon around the building set in law, and you're not allowed to be same here as well. You're not allowed to be within a certain distance, and she wasn't, and so therefore she got arrested. End of.
Yeah.
So if you get a speeding ticket because you drive too fast. That's just how the law is.
I love it. Love it. Just because it's a law doesn't mean it makes sense or it should happen.
Ridiculous. Oh, right, yeah. Says the Argentinian. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the famous law in Argentina, like not handling the ball at major soccer competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. No answers now.
That's why we have referees,
Oh my God.
but they're all somebody's bought them.
It's amazing how it really hurts after all these decades.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. You bring it up every time.
Well, you know what we're going to do, boys?
Just because you were talking about laws, and if you drive 200 miles an hour down a road in a 50-mile-an-hour limit, you're going to take it.
No. Do you get a medal now? Because Trump's president, you get a medal.
Yeah.
You don't go to, now they applaud you. Now it's okay. You're allowed to do that. But on today's show, before we run the credits, we're going to talk about China, how they're exploding now. And then we're also going to talk about Doge or whatever it's called, and how Elon Musk is screwing up the American government. And John's Eli. And he wants to have Elon's 14th child, because we understand that Elon just had a 13th child. So this will be good.
Well, he hasn't had the child. If not, it would be immaculate conception, and he really would be a god then.
Yeah.
But he's managed to spread his seed around to a 13th.
Oh, when I was in Vietnam, I did the same thing. Anyway, okay, here we go, boys and girls. Hey, fans, welcome to the show.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Welcome to the Lost Dollar Business Club, where we talk about business, and not just business. We talk about what makes businesses go up and what makes businesses go down. If you're interested in businesses, this is where it is. We talk about the global economy. We talk about global politics. We talk about everything and anything business related that affects your life on a global scale as well as a local scale. And don't miss after the show, Lost and Found. All right, here we are. We're live. And
very good.
Unfortunately, Michael couldn't join us today. He has a Viagra problem, so he'll be here next week. He had to go to the emergency room so they could take care of that. So hopefully he'll be back next week, and he won't be blue. And there you go. So, boys, how you been?
Good. Here we are.
Here we are again. So where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the Doge?
Still debating. Still debating, Maradona's Lovely goals against England. That's it.
Seriously, we're talking football 30 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, 30-year
That's a good way to
football.
start.
Well, you know, we like on this show. We like to be on top of topical issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, talking about topical issues. Talking about woke. Then let's just get one thing in. What about the Spanish guy who's been fined 10,000 euros for kissing the girl at the World Cup? And he's also been sacked as well.
First of all, was she cute? Second of all, why is he being fined $10,000 for kissing her, and where did he kiss her?
Yeah.
Well, you could see the women's team won the Women's World Cup. Yeah, okay. And he's just been this week. He's just been found guilty in Spain, and has got obviously he's going to appeal. But what happened was that in the euphoria of them winning, which actually, John, which will make you feel happy, was against the English ladies soccer team.
I'm afraid so.
They have ladies in England? No kidding.
But so when the captain came along, she was the captain of the team and the rest of the team. He allegedly got hold of her in an inappropriate way and kissed her on the lips. And you can see this because it was like all over the world.
Yeah.
And a little bit later on, she filed against him, saying it was inappropriate and that he'd forced himself upon her. And this has been the forefront of certainly of the Spanish woke.
That's the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my entire life because of the euphoria. Like, go back and look at the World War II pictures when it was over. Sailors are kissing strange women in Times Square. Hundreds of them. They're all kissing. They're excited. They're happy. He was excited. He gave you a kiss. Unless he grabbed her boob, fine. But if he grabbed you by the arms and gave you a kiss, who cares? This is so stupid. We're such a pansy society now. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
Well, this is
get a woman on the show. We'll have to ask Vicky next week on Adam on the Eve what her thoughts are, because we need a woman to voice her opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Well, the obviously the woke side, whether or not it's appropriate or not appropriate,
right?
Obviously there's a judge in Spain that has an opinion upon it, but the conspiracy around it is more in the fact that she didn't instantly. I mean, he could have just realized that, oh well, I shouldn't have done that, and then gone to the dressing room and said, look, I'm sorry, it's things got a bit out of hand. You just won the European Championship, etc., etc. So that's that side of it. The other side of it is that it was a period of time between it actually happening and when she filed the complaint.
That's because everybody got into her head and said, oh, he assaulted you. He did this, he did that. So she needs to grow a pair of balls, and she probably does have one. Does she have an Anamaz apple? Did we check? Is she a lady boy? Anyway, that's just ridiculous BS. And this is the problem with the planet. We're such a bunch of pansies now. He gave you a kiss. He was excited. He didn't have sex with you on the field. He didn't stick his tongue down your throat. He gave you a kiss on the lips. He was excited. Okay, done. That's it. Now, if he grows up to you in the street, different story. But you just won the World Cup. He's excited. He gives you a kiss. Especially if he's Spanish. You're close enough for government work. He gives you a kiss. He's excited. Boom. Okay, so what's the problem? Who cares? It's the dumbest thing in the world. It'd be different if it's at the mall. You know what I mean? Like if you're at the mall and you grab a woman and you kiss her, that's a problem. Then that's assault. Blah, blah. I got that. But at a sporting event, and if you win the World Championship, the European Cup, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it was actually the World Cup, but because England ladies had won the European Cup the year before. Yeah, but anyway, big hoo-ha about it. He's now been sacked. There was talk of him going to prison as well, but everything's being he had to appeal.
Spanish pussies. You guys deserve everything you get. Yeah, you'll be invaded by a bunch of fourth graders soon. Don't worry. Russia will be invading you right after Trump gives the Ukraine. So you can, you can kiss the liberators in 10 years, whoever that is, probably.
So that's my little, that's got nothing to do with anything at all, other than the fact that
you feel better now?
John and I were talking about football, real football. Not that.
Well, yeah, because from 30 years ago, because you like to be topical.
I won't make any comments. Well, I probably could make lots of comments about American footballers. not being as butch as they'd like to be because of all the armor they have to wear. Whereas, like a rugby player doesn't have to. But the chances of me now actually entering the US are very, very small. So I'm probably quite safe. To make a comment. So that if I did actually in 4 years' time was welcomed into the US, thank you. Then I wouldn't want to be attacked by a large gentleman or lady who plays American football.
No, but apparently now the female soccer team is going to attack you. So you got that going for you. So
Oh, worse ways, did I?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the Spanish chicks. They may not be hot. I think they all have mustaches. They have mustaches and facial hair. It looked like. And,
no. Well, let's put it this way, Stephen. Let's put it this way. I wouldn't climb over them to get to you. Let's just put it like that.
You wouldn't climb over them to get to me.
Yeah.
Huh. I'll take that almost as a compliment. Anyway, let's go talk about the subject at hand. You want to start with China or Doge, guys? Which one?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the China, if we talk, they're beating us at everything, now. So.
Oh, shit, John. and Xi, who we've invited on the show many a times, and I think Davey actually sent his publicity people a email, and we're waiting for that response. But Xi had all his entrepreneurs from Jack Ma and all these people in meetings last week, and now they're going to make China great again. And China is going to kick everybody's ass. They're doing it in EVs, innovation, robot, everything. And Xi has literally said now, go. Like before he held them all back, he had them really almost in concentration camps and, had them reprogrammed. Now he's like, no, forget what we told you, go. And so now China is kicking ass. They're also having war games 150 nautical miles off of Australia. And Australia had to issue a warning to airplanes saying, be careful because you could get hit by one of their shells. So I thought that was very interesting. So China is.
Don't they have any cannons? Don't they have cannons and stuff like that? They're throwing shells at each other.
They throw shells, little seashells. They throw little seasehells at each other. Back in the olden days.
It's dangerous. You don't get one of them in your eye.
Oh, I know. Could take down a plane, apparently.
But aren't they allowed to do it? I mean, they're in international water. They can go and shoot.
Let me ask you this:
if they want.
If Russia was 150 miles off our coast, because I think our international waters is like 7,000 or some ridiculous number we made up. But if Russia was 150 miles off of our coast, we'd have a heart attack. They'd have the 7th Fleet like right there. So Australia is having a heart attack. A U.S. general said that he thinks this is basically a preload to what's going to happen. They're going to invade Taiwan because North Korea and Russia are going to be joining them, I think, next week. And he thinks this is kind of them showing off their strength, their might, and they might attack Taiwan. They don't know. But I think China now, it's like Napoleon said, you don't want to wake the sleeping dragon. And they woke the dragon, and now you're screwed. But now the dragon sees that we're weak because of who's in the office. And I think that's going to be, I think what they're also going to do is make sure that Russia realizes they're not here to screw around. So I think China now is going to exert their stuff.
At the moment, what's a big debate here in Europe is that certainly we feel, and that's the royal we then, that the world's going to be carved up into three superpowers, and
it's always been 3 superpowers.
Yeah, that's where we and now, of course, it's
who's the third?
Russia.
Russia. Yeah,
kind of,
because Russia, China, and the US, and that'll be it.
No, maybe India. Maybe India, if they can get their act together.
Well, that's just it. There's just a lot of people and running around doing shit, but whether or not it's all doing it in the right direction. And I mean, you've got these 3 autocrats, and doing their thing, haven't you? Just saying, this is what we're going to do. And I talk about China, but I mean in Holland, the joke is here. If they have an issue, then we have. You've seen that this week. Well, if we already had 2 emergency meetings of European leaders, and so they've met. And that's it. All the European leaders.
Jen, do you not read the papers anymore? Did you stop reading the papers?
They had to They had to do something because when they were all sort of sleeping at the Munich Defense Summit, all of a sudden this American guy with an extremely bright suit said something, and they woke him up, and they said, "Oh, blimey!" If the Russians do roll in, like Boris said as well, if any tank moves, we will be there to help you. That's what he told Zelensky.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But well, they didn't, did they? And then, of course, now you think, oh, yeah. So what happens then? Because what will happen is that the Russians will just start to expand everywhere, and everybody will be on the phone trying to speak to Donny, but of course he'll be on the phone talking to Putin. So the line will be engaged. So we have to pull up our own trousers.
Well, Zelensky's already said, and you can see the interview everywhere. He already called Trump a dictator and a tyrant. Like he was, and the fact that they're having peace talks, like he said, without us, he's like, no, and he said Zelensky's ratings are 4%. He's like, Trump just tells, you can say lies or misinformation time and time again, and no one fact checks them. I mean, we fact check them. I know other shows fact check them, but it's sort of like, dude, enough. Like people are just getting tired of it. You know what I mean? I'm sure I know some of the Republicans are, because they're on Bloomberg complaining. So it's like, enough is enough. Like you need to now be president. It seems literally he just wants to be the dictator. It's like, Putin, you do what I tell you.
King.
I think Putin will do what Trump says. Xi won't. Xi actually has an army. And I read a report the other day.
I don't think Putin, because now the Russians are saying this morning, they're saying, well, yeah, there's no point in meeting, and there's something on the table. So they want to be able to roll.
They want to be able to roll in and do. The problem is going to be Xi. I read an article the other day that said if we went to war with China, we would run out of ammunition in 8 days. If we went a full scale war, the U.S. would run out of ammunition in 8 days. I'm like, that's interesting.
Well, yeah, because you emptied a lot of your coffers. Most of that's gone to the Ukraine.
So my point is, we can't even defend ourselves.
I mean, the first military aid that came from the superpower called Germany when the war started against the Russians is they sent them a whole load of steel helmets.
Yep.
That was their first contribution to the war effort. So that just kind of, that kind of says enough, because the Germans have got the heebie-jeebies about, having a war with the Russians.
The Russians the Russians have the North Koreans, and they're addicted to porn now. So we'll see what happens there. And this is China. So here's my hypothesis: Russia is going to roll over the Ukraine because no one's going to help them. As much as Europe, as much as the UK, and everybody goes,
I don't know. I mean, Donny wants all those minerals, didn't he? I mean, that's
well, calm down. Yeah. That's why he's sending PS-137 to go beat the shit out of Greenland. That's fine. So you're going to have Russia rolling over on that side. So that means Poland, Germany, and all these governments now are going to have to figure out, okay, are we going back to 1940, or are we going to really stand our ground? The UK is going to fight, because they realize what will happen if they make it across the channel. France will be France. Oh, really? The pussies. We don't want to fight. So France is going to do scrap. Germany, maybe. Poland, they're terrified because they remember what happened the last time. The other Baltic states, it's 50-50. Then you have China.
Disagree with you, actually, Steve, because I think probably of Germany and the French, it's the French who are more able to do something than the Germans, because the Germans have got no because they're imperialists. They know what it's all about. They've got quite a strong army, but the Germans I mean, we'll find out what happens to them this weekend with the elections, but they haven't got the stomach for it. They're still very much to the left. They're still very much looks like the Christian Democrats are going to get back in,
right?
But yeah, I mean, if the far right gets in, which it seems to be slightly ironic, because the whole war of Russians fighting the Ukrainians in the first place, is it because Putin said it's full of Nazis and far right fascists, but it's the far right in Germany who don't want to supply arms and munition to the German army to fight the Russians. So
when
Not
John and
quite
I
sure
were
how
in the
that works
Ukraine,
out.
when John and I were in the Ukraine and we were in Kyiv and we went all over for a business deal, everyone was very friendly. There was no far right, no far left. Everybody just liked each other. They were all very friendly. I mean, like there was just big friendly people. So I don't believe any of that crap. And it was before Zelensky was president.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, I have a problem.
And this thing about him being a dictator. I mean, one of the ironies, and let's see what happens in 4 years' time when all the Americans have to go to vote again for a new president, as to whether or not there'll be
There won't be
an emergency. What is it? Some war notice somewhere, because that's basically it. Because the countries at war, it doesn't.
No, that's not true. You can still have a presidential election during war. We've got it toward Vietnam and everything else. So there would have to be a civil war in America that they would suspend the election. Which, if Trump keeps going the way he's going, we could happen. But yeah, so we'll see. And there's a senator, and I forget his name, that he wants to have Trump be a third termer. He's already put in. He's going to put in something.
That would
crazy.
Really stir up the I guess the other 50% that didn't vote for Trump.
No, John, Americans are fat and lazy. They're not going to do shit.
Yeah,
and I keep saying this, and I'm here. You have 360 million people. Like I said, we have 60 million of us that are doing great. Don't worry about anything. The other 300 million people worry until it gets so bad where they can't get heat or electric or food. At that point, they're going to be like, you know what? Screw this crap. And then you have 8 billion people on the planet and 7 billion aren't doing well. And at some point, their 7 billion are going to be like, you know what? Screw this crap. That's when you have a problem. That's why back in the Gilded Age, even though, these guys are making money, they still made sure, if you will, the less fortunate people still had food. They had this, they had that. Like they made sure people had things, because what they didn't want was an uprise. They didn't want the off with your head period. So at some point, the peasants are going to get tired of the guy with $400 billion taking away stuff from them. Like they're playing around now in Social Security and the Veterans Administration. Pardon my French, you're fucking with the wrong group. Like you got people 50, 60, 70, 80. You're going to start screwing with them. They're already close to death. They have no problem going up. You're going to start screwing with veterans. You got a problem there. That's like, and you have a 19-year-old who's part of the State Department now who's got nothing, who's leaked secrets before. So you've got all this stuff going on and everyone's just sitting there. It's like Steve Bannon said, flood the zone, flood the zone, flood the zone. But if you start pulling everything you're doing apart, none of it so far is good. We did a show on tariffs the other day, and a lot of comments came in because everyone was saying, yeah, the reason that you have to have tariffs on electric BYD cars is because it put Tesla out of business, which is true. Yeah. If you let BYD come over here, who makes a better product, they would put Tesla out of business. I'm okay with that. But, it's like you can't, at some point, we have to make a choice. Either long live the king, he's a dictator with a little mustache, or we're a democracy. That's your choice, A, B, or C, but you got to pick. And the rest of the world, I think, is a little worried right now because everyone I talk to outside the United States is like, not good. And people within other governments are like, okay, they're planning for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
They're not planning for like a kumbaya moment. We're all going to hug each other. They're planning for like what China's doing. You want to see how big our penis is? We're going to show you now. We're going to have our Navy go here. Russia, they're useless unless they go nuclear. And the North Koreans, they're not going to do shit.
Well, the North Koreans, funnily enough, are they captured some, I think, last week.
And they week.
Yeah, well, we know that because we heard you heard it here first.
That's right.
That's right. But they think it. They thought, and they were told they were fighting South Koreans. That's what they were told.
Oh wow, interesting.
So so that's being totally kept in the dark.
Can you imagine? How could you be fighting South Koreans all on the other side of the world? I mean, you have to be pretty dumb.
Well,
they don't know anything, John.
They don't know. They don't know anything. Yeah. Nothing. They don't know anything. Yeah. If you'd have watched one of our shows, John, you would have found out that they're addicted to porn because they've just discovered it. So that's what they're doing.
We did that on No Snobs or Knobs. Yeah, about 4 months ago.
Do they have access though?
Yeah, they have internet access. They never had it before. No. So when they came over, the first thing they did is, I guess the Russian soldiers showed them porn. And so now literally when they're not fighting, they're just on laptops watching porn all day because they've never seen it before.
I see. Okay. The
North
army
Koreans.
that's
the army that was brought over to fight the Ukrainians, which are told whatever.
I was thinking, in North Korea,
Oh no, they can't get into that North Korea. So that's not happening. But the flip of all this is, if you've never been anywhere and you're told North Korea is the center of the universe, right? You don't know really when we ship you out to where you are. So you're not going to know if you're you could be fighting Americans. You would never know you're in America. You know what I mean? Like at some point it may dawn on you because that doesn't look like South Korean writing.
Yeah.
It's like one of those type of things. So, but they do what the dictator says, and that's it. And it's kind of like what's going right now in America. Everyone's doing what the dictator's saying, and they're running around the world. And listen, there may be some master plan here, and all of a sudden everything is like a utopia. But I don't think anybody sees that yet.
I don't know. I just think that everybody's getting a little too have a vivid imagination of and negative thoughts that I just don't think.
No, you're sitting on the other side of the pond, John. That's what it is. I mean, you open my window, I can hear the rattling of the tanks. What is it, 500k, 600, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not far. So okay, there's a lot of people in between that would stand in the way.
Yeah.
But but God forbid that I have to do a hop, skip, and jump and go back to the land of my fathers, because that would just put a little bit of water between us. But
yeah.
And they don't. And the UK this time doesn't have a Churchill.
No. Well, and they also don't have an opponent who didn't believe that it was possible to invade, because Hitler had the opportunity to do it, I think, in 1940, but he just couldn't. He didn't believe his generals when they said, "Well, look, they've got nothing." He couldn't believe that of the end, but of course, now everybody knows they've got nothing. So.
Yeah. Well, now it's easy to verify those things.
Yeah.
No, not really. They still don't have a clue. They think if they do a swag, it's like, we think they have this. They don't know. You're not. Unfortunately, you won't know until you know, and then it's too late.
Yeah, indeed. But you said BYD. I've just got hats off to them. I was watching. They've got this new version, one of their new cars, where it's got complete 4-wheel drive, so the wheels will actually turn at the back, so you can turtle its way into a parking space. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they also have one they have one that you can you can actually drive through the water too, and it works.
Yeah.
BYD's. That's what I'm saying. I forgot. I think it was on Vaguely True. We made a couple comments about China and tariffs or whatever, and the comments were because we talked about Tesla. Because I always joke, there's a Tesla plant here. BYD can just come take that over because Teslas are crap. And it was sort of like everyone's like, well, you have to have tariffs because Tesla would go out of business. And I'm like, I was saying it tongue in cheek, but if you think through it, they make a better product. Now, unless they make it like a US product, then it'll suck. But if they make a really good product like they do in China, it could put Elon's company out. Elon's losing money anyway because people are not buying Teslas anymore globally. Even China stopped. The China government officials said, you know what? We're done. And then the Trump administration was like, oh, well, if you do that, we're going to do this. And China's like, we don't care. Yeah. So, it really is now going to be a who has the bigger one. But I think, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, China has the bigger one. I think America's a great superpower, and we used to be a great democracy. It's on shady ground, even though John thinks we're getting hysterical over nothing. But I think China, I'm not saying they're a democracy, but I think China is going to come across as they're the big boys in the room, I think.
Well,
John?
I mean, as long as you go along with what the top bananas say, everything's wonderful there.
Yeah. You could say the same about the US, or the Netherlands, where I am.
We don't have a social system where we rate you according to your behavior, that we regulate and say what's good.
Every country does that. It's just done in a slightly more subtle way.
Come on, you don't cross the light, the street with a light, and you get a negative quarter point, and we won't let you travel if you say naughty things that we don't, I think you can't equate both systems. Yeah, Europe and the UK is going that way with all these silly little rules of, if you say something that we consider offensive, or that goes against what's I don't know what the elite. Well, I don't know if the elite, but
the political elite.
Then we put you in, we fine you, and we take you to court, and we just make your life miserable. I think
there's a lot of people in Europe who think, oh, that would be nice if we, if King Donald was, we had a King Donald over here as well, because the thing here is, and I made a joke about it earlier on, they had these 2 emergency meetings where they had to get together. They had to talk about the future of Europe without the US. An emergency meeting after Vance left, and everybody put their sunglasses back on. And what happened? Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. Sorry, they went and had another meeting a couple of days ago as well. So it's 2 meetings. So there's this endless sitting around the table, endless meetings, endless. I mean, I'm a Democrat. I really, have my heart and soul. But democracy, I always say, is like a horse with 3 legs. If you let it, if you're not careful, it just goes around in circles. It does move, but it goes around in circles.
Well, it's fancy, yeah, sure.
So they have to do something in Europe. We have to, and it's a wake up call. People here are saying, "Yeah, can't we do that? Can't we do that? Oh, that can be done then." But this show is going to be about Doge or whatever in the US.
Yeah,
and that's the other extreme, I think, because they're just bulldozing their way through everybody's social and political rights.
Wow.
Under the flag of reform and freedom.
Look, I think
Tell us, John. Preach to us, baby. Preach to us.
No, I think it's just it's propaganda. They have access. They've gone into different places and asked to look at the systems, to see what the processes are, where the money is going. I mean, I don't think that's any impinging on anybody's rights.
No, I don't think the act itself is impinging upon the rights. Right. It's the actors that are
the bad actors.
That action. Yeah.
Right.
That's even from this side of the pond. People are going, oh, bloody hell, what a terrible thought to have all that happening without anybody. It's almost as if to say, we'll just open a supermarket up and
well, look at it this way.
Take what you want.
In the treasury, sends out payments. That's they manage the checking account for the government. Right. Okay. So Doge when they then started looking and stuff, and they asked the folks there, what's going on, and there's about $1 trillion that we send out, which has it doesn't say who it's going to exactly. We don't know what the reason is. But it's just going out. It's sort of like blank check. We have no idea what's going on, because we don't we're not auditing these payments. I mean, $1 trillion just going where there's no reason and there's no.
Is that like a report in a real newspaper? Is that something Elon Musk said with his Doge people? Like, there's a real newspaper saying that, or are you just Elon Musk saying that?
I was going to say, how did that happen?
That's my question. Because the other day Trump was talking in Miami, saying the same bullshit, and he said there's people on Social Security that are over 300 years old or 200 years old, and I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to be an ass, and you may be correct, but could you show us that? Like, could you show us the record of someone who says that they're getting a Social Security check that's 150 years old, and they don't show anything? They just tell everybody this is what's going on. So it could all be bullshit. So unless it's verified.
Yeah, sure. Okay. It all be, now, well, okay. This is for, dollar lost
Okay, we'll wait for dollar loss then.
I have a little something there for you.
No, I got a couple of somethings there.
I don't want to give it away, but
that's okay.
Look, the important thing is that if you have somebody that's, it's good to have, somebody,
an overseer,
entity looking at what's going on.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, John.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Because you know how it is. The system gets big and bloated, and things don't. Nobody's really looking. There's no good audits, and which is the Pentagon, as we all know, hasn't had an audit for over a decade, and they say that it'll take them 10 years to get to the point where they can have a full audit. I mean,
they're not going to audit the Pentagon. If they audit the Pentagon, that's not going to go well for Trump or Musk. They got all their black projects. You're not going to audit them. It's like auditing the CIA. That's not happening.
There's billions there that probably who knows where it's going, right?
To the UFOs, to the lizard people, my people. They go to my people.
So I think look, yes, I mean we need proof that what they're saying is correct, right. But looking under the hood, so to speak, I think is a good process. Yes, they're going to be messy.
Do you think the walkthrough of Fort Knox will be on a pay-per-view?
That's what they're saying.
I mean, who was it?
I mean, that whole gold reserve. I mean, that when did that disappear? 60s, 70s?
No. Nixon took us off and put us on. So the last time we were on the gold reserve was 73.
73.
Yeah. So by definition, there could be 2 bars in there, and the rest is all gone because there's no.
Well,
it's supposed to be 1-on-1, wouldn't there? So.
Well, when that James Bond movie, that guy stole all the gold. I saw the movie. I believe that. That's got to be true. No, but if it's. Listen, when you're off the gold standard, your money's worth nothing. It's the good faith and backing of America. At this point, we might as well just buy Bitcoin. It's the same crap. It's backed by nothing. Our government's not backing squat. Donnie can wake up one morning and go, I'm not backing it anymore. Okay, now what? Look, so you know what I'm saying? So there's
all fiat currencies, have no backing. The only value that they have is that you can pay your taxes with them. That's the value that
So why all the hoo-ha about Fort Knox? Because it makes good TV, good sound bites, and it floods the zone.
Gold has actually gone up since Trump's been president because people are getting ready for World War III. So you need to be able to pay somebody with something. So I think part of it is, and I think the last time they said somebody audited Fort Knox was in the 80s. So I agree with that. I agree that we should go to Fort Knox. And he wants to do it live, and he's probably going to put it on X because they need the money. But I would love to see if there's gold in Fort Knox, and then if there is, they're like, all right, close the vault door, and we're good.
I forget when. They showed. I forget what year it was. They showed. I think it was in that there was gold bars. A lot of those gold bars were not numbered.
Right.
Which is a bit of a problem. All gold bars in central banks are numbered, and there's a record of them. And so,
did they not have like these funny sign on them? Or a spread eagle or something?
Well, what's also interesting?
No, we melted down. We melted it down.
Melted down.
We melted down. Made in Germany. Yeah. Made in Germany.
But no, in the Federal Reserve in New York, under the bank there, they have gold. And what happens is every day they move gold from the U.S. bin to this one's bin, and that one's that's all some guy does all day is move gold around because that's what they do. But I know that I was reading another article a couple of weeks ago that said there's a shortage of gold for the countries. There's people are buying it. Normal people are hoarding gold now. So I think it'd be interesting to see. They don't have to show us all the security shit, but when you get to where the gold is, open the door and go, look, there's the gold. And it goes, yay, there's the gold. We're done. And you close the door and you're done. I don't know how you're going to figure out if there's 430 tons of it or 500 tons of it or whatever's supposed to be there. But that's going to be
bits of wood painted gold. I mean,
and you'll never know. All you have to do is put the real gold in the front and you put the fake stuff in the back. It all looks the same.
Yeah.
Except when you pick it up.
A bit like the British Army in 1940 with all the paper
inflatable stuff. Thank God. And that's where the Chinese and the Japanese are come up with inflatable girlfriends. Sure, everybody knows this. So I think
it's all good. It's all good. I think it's all good. if you step away from I guess
Frederick?
the general media and the DC sort of bubble, if you talk to most people, unless it's somebody or a group that's feeding at the trough,
Right.
they're all going to say it's great. And the ones that are getting, we're looking under to see what's going on, then then of course they're going to squeal because free money. So
right. I'm not opposed to what they're doing. It's the same thing I said a couple months ago before they came to power. I said, I'm happy you're going to do everything you say. You're going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to Z. The problem is they go A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, now what? And they haven't thought like G through Z. They went A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, and they stopped. And that includes like the Doge thing. That includes all of it. So my problem is that if you're not going to complete the alphabet, then you have a problem because, like I said, you're going to screw around in Veterans Affairs, and you should just make it easier for them to go get treatments. They when they cut some programs, they cut like U.S. Veterans Suicide Program, and everyone's like, "Are you kidding?" So when they're cutting this stuff that Elon doesn't think is important, if it was, because he's a Nazi, so he doesn't care. So that's a problem. You can't have somebody that doesn't understand. Not talking that he doesn't understand humanity. You can't have someone that doesn't understand, like, oh, Veterans Affairs, we need to treat our veterans. You can't understand someone that has Social Security, Medicare. Yes, there's fraud everywhere, right? But you have to then have a plan on, we're going to look at everything. I'm glad you looked. I look at everything too. But now how am I going to clean it up so it doesn't affect the people who actually need it? So wait for the first time somebody's Social Security check doesn't show up, or they decide that they're going to hold Social Security for a couple months while they figure things out. You want to see an uproar then? Like I said, these people that are 70, 80, 90 years old, they're close to death anyway. They're not going to give a shit.
No, but then nobody's going to do that.
We'll see. I'm just saying, John.
I think one of the mega things is you're either on the menu or at the table, one or the other.
Yeah, and they're not that stupid.
Really? Really? Okay, we'll see, John.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And on that point, I think we better go to Lost and Found because that's
I think so.
Ever wonder how millions vanish into thin air, or how a single dollar can make all the difference? Join us on Lost and Found, where we dive into the wild world of financial mysteries. From misplaced fortunes to unexpected windfalls, we unravel the stories of people, companies, organizations, and even governments who've lost and found millions. Lost and Found, because every dollar has a story.
Every dollar has a story.
Every dollar has a story.
Yeah.
Oh, John,
right,
let's hear what yours
was. You were chomping at the bit, buddy.
Is this a lost or a found before we start? So we can.
It's a potential found.
Okay. Oh my God. It's going to be with Doge. You can already tell where it's heading.
Yeah, it's a Doge thing,
Oh, I knew.
So the Doge folks, Musk and company, are thinking that they've got to verify this if this is possible with Donald Trump, that they would send a Doge dividend to all taxpayers of the money that's actually
saved. 10%. They want to send 10% to all taxpayers that are, and the other 80 or 90% is going to pay down the debt.
Yeah. So
feed the poor. Feed the poor.
Yep.
Of course,
cake.
It could be potentially 5,000 if they actually achieve the 2 trillion, which I think is going to be very difficult. But
so do I.
We can all hope that we get a check for 5,000. I think that's like a potential win. I don't think it'll happen, but okay, it's good.
Well, on next year's show, it'll be a lost dollar, of course, because
they'll never.
All that money would have mysteriously disappeared. But,
that's right. Into Donald Trump's bank account or Musk's bank account. Yeah. Now I heard them say that, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Where are you going to cut this $2 trillion still? You know, I mean, you already cut USA aid, which I'm not sure if that's good or bad yet, but from people I talked to outside, that things that the USA actually did, not good, but we'll see. And so some of the stuff that they're cutting, I'm kind of like, okay, maybe. I'm just like, where are you going to come up? We have a $6-7 trillion thing. I'm like, where are you going to cut this from? Like, how are you going to do this? So that's what I'm saying. And by the time they actually cut it, it could take 4 years. So you might not see this $5,000 check, if you will, until, you know, Trump's either leaving or getting reelected for a third term. And that's the way you're going to get him elected for a third term, is because they're going to be like, listen, it'll be more than $5,000 at that point. I'll be like, we're going to give every citizen $25,000.
Yeah, if you don't give me a chance to get in, I can't give you all that money. I promise you.
Right. Yeah. So, but it's not going to be $5,000. People are going to look at him and go, $5,000, go fuck yourself. Can do nothing with $5,000. So it's going to be like 25, 50, 100 grand. Then people are going to be like, oh yeah, let's let him be president again. He's going to give us $50,000.
Well,
that's different.
If most people don't have, you know, $500 to $1,000 available for an emergency, you know, $5,000 would be well welcome.
It is, but you know what? I think even the poorest person looks at that as sort of like, they're not going to get a check. They haven't filed Social Security forever. So, you know what I mean? I'm saying, like, the people that are going to get that $5,000 are going to be like, yeah, this is BS. So to make it, if you really want to be king, you better add a 0 or put a 1 and a 0 in that number, because if not,
what's going to happen?
I think it's a joke.
So you're going to get your $50,000 or whatever, but if you're on Social Security, it'll all be paid in, and you'll have to you know, that'll all be backdated to when you had your Social Security.
Right.
So the one covers the other. We know how that works. All right, Steve, what have you got? What have you got for us?
I have two interesting ones. First one is Microsoft claims a breakthrough after 20 years in pursuit of elusive particle. The U.S. tech giant has harnessed a new state of matter to create the basic building blocks of a quantum machine. This was in the FT, the Bloomberg, everything. Very fascinating. It's an interesting read. Did they really do it? Who the hell knows? It's Microsoft. They're just trying to make a buck because Billy left and they got the bald guy who doesn't know what he's doing, and Ballmer running a basketball team. Good for Ballmer. The other thing which I thought was interesting, which I don't know if is good, bad, or indifferent. There it is. European stock outpaces Wall Street since Donald Trump took office. Surprising outperformance driven by lack of one-day tariffs on the EU. Expected to end the Ukraine war. So the UK market and the global market outside the United States has actually performed better than the United States market has. So there you go. And I think those are both interesting. I don't know if they're wins or losses yet. Yeah. So
the Google thing, by all accounts, I was reading about.
Microsoft.
Microsoft. Sorry, I was reading about it this morning, and you know, there's no science. It's just promo.
Yeah, no.
So nobody's read the science yet. So. And of course, I can't tell you everything because you'd know everything, and you know
that's all bullshit.
You know, if you take away the mirror, all you've got is smoke. That's all.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. You know,
vaporware, as they used to say.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to preempt mine because I want this, because it's just maybe for happy.
You want this? Oh God, it's going to be some stupid toy. Here we go.
Yeah, this is my lost and found.
All right.
Lost and found a Samsung robot.
Balling. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Love it.
What does Bailey do?
Well, what is it doing? It's just right. It's about the same size as a bowling ball, they say, which is great if you're old because you can fall over and break your neck. So that's all good. But it's got a built-in projector. So if you ask it to do something, it will project it onto the wall or onto the floor. It's got integrated AI. It'll turn on everything and turn off everything in the house. Great. I want 3 of those for the 3 floors in the house. Because they haven't got one to go up down the steps yet.
Oh, not like Elon's robot.
Yeah. So I thought that was great. That, you know, just
okay.
And,
why is there a dog? Why is there a dog in this picture looking at
you
the floor?
He's looking at the video.
Oh,
the Billy is showing on the floor.
Yeah.
Can Billy walk your dog?
He could do anything. You know,
apparently, he can't walk your dog. All he could do is show him a video. That's useless.
It's Samsung, but that was.
They should send us one. We'll test it for them.
Yeah,
I have a dog. Yeah, that test it.
Yeah, that would be great. I just thought that was a really promising advancement.
Okay.
Yeah, I've questioned its size and having it around the house if you're pretty frail.
Oh, that'd be awesome to get rid of old people really quick. That's the plan.
Maybe that's what the secret plan is. So yeah, love to have one. A found dollar for me. Yeah, you know, these Samsung people, this whole
they're Korean. Be careful. A lot of them.
Yeah. Well, you know, at least they know who they're shooting at.
Yeah.
Well, their president tried an insurrection. He went to jail.
Yeah.
Who knew how that's a democracy works?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
did he get arrested?
Yeah, got arrested finally.
I read that. I read the headline that said that South Korean president had an erection, but that's not. No,
that was an election. That was an election, David.
Election.
Yeah, I have to dyslexic daily. So
that's probably why. Well, everybody, we hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Michael will be back next week. Our best to his Viagra problem. Hopefully that'll dwindle down, as we like to say. We're sorry we didn't really stick on the Doge, AI, EV, China, US topic, but all the other stuff we thought was happy. So if you'd like to be a guest on the show and you're an expert in something, feel free to reach out like Guy Standing and Michael Collins did. And they're regulars now. You feel free. And if not, we will see you live next Friday morning. And the following and Saturday mornings is when the rebroadcast is, or you can get us wherever you get your podcasts. I mean, look for Two Old Farts Making Noises wherever you get your podcasts, or here on YouTube under TOF Entertainment. And there you go. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Anything else, boys, before we run away for the day?
No,
that's it. Really, just thanks.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the
ride. Enjoy the ride, kids.